What's up, Titans Nation, and welcome back to another edition of the Titans Traffic Update. I am your host, Gannon Cornley, and I am excited to get you guys some more Tennessee Titans content. First and foremost, I do want to apologize for not getting out some content in the last couple of weeks. I had some major technical difficulties. My computer died on me. Not even gonna lie to you guys. So I had to get a brand new computer, much like the Titans' new jerseys, new head coach, new stadium coming up. I had to get a new computer. So a lot of newness in my Titans life right now. But I am here to stay, and I'll be bringing you guys some Titans content every single week now moving forward. Luckily for myself, the Titans haven't had a ton of new news here lately. They had a couple of people that they did bring in, and we will discuss that in a short moment. But luckily for me, it's just a lot of draft season, a lot of hypotheticals here and there and whatnot. So haven't missed a ton, but I am here to keep you guys up to date on what's going around your Tennessee Titans. Again, my overall purpose of creating this platform is to create a fun, safe space for my Titans fans to come and discuss whatever you guys want to talk about. Ultimately, we're going to grow this show out to be what the fans want to discuss. It's not going to necessarily be me always choosing what topics. I'm here, of course, to mediate everything and ultimately bring you guys my unfiltered opinion about this football team in Nashville. But ultimately, I want this to be a spot for the fans to say, hey, this is what we can discuss and we can talk about in the chat room. I can respond to you guys and we can have a whole thing. So until we kind of get to that point, I'll, of course, continue to bring up some of the topics to kind of keep us centered around what's current in the Tennessee Titans life. So before we kind of get today started, please stop what you're doing. Please like and subscribe. The only way we can get to my vision of what I want to do with this platform is if others know about it. So please like and subscribe. Again, I am here for you guys. I'm here to serve the Tennessee Titans community, our fan base. I mainly operate on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Again, I'm at Titans Traffic Update. So hit me up on there. I'd love to discuss anything you guys want to talk about, but I'm usually active in different comments and tweeting out different things on there. But I am also on TikTok as well as Instagram as well. So if you guys want to hear a little bit more of a shorter version of some of the things that I like to put out, I'll also be on there. So enough housekeeping things, but I just want to kind of give you guys an update and again share a little bit about my vision, not just some guy who just popped on. Just want to talk about the Titans and have no meaning behind it. Ultimately, I want this to grow to be a space where the fans get to have a voice. You guys can talk directly to me. I'll eventually get to a point where I can do this live and make this all about you guys. So that's ultimately what the purpose of this show is going to be about. So without further ado, coming up on today's show, again, we're going to talk about 3 different mock drafts I want to look at, some different strategies that the Titans could potentially be looking to do as they head into this NFL draft, which is just in a few weeks here. I believe it's April 25th. So we're not that far away, just a couple Thursdays away from the Titans selecting at pick number 4, at least seeing what they're going to do with that number 4 pick. Going to look at some of the newer additions that the Titans did bring in last week. Again, I was in the middle of recording an episode about that, and my computer just decided to flat toe on me. So I will talk about some of the new additions there. And then I will still end the show with why I believe that Jeremiah Love is the right pick for the Tennessee Titans at pick number 4. So I will get into that. But first, we are going to start with the first mock draft that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to kind of break it down. You guys will see the theme here in a minute. First, I'm going to start by looking at a 2-round mock draft. You guys will learn that I'm going to be heavy on my sources, make sure I'm giving people the credit that they deserve, because a lot of this stuff is not just me creating this stuff. So I want you guys to make sure that know that I always will credit people. So going to look at a 2-round mock draft. This is going to be coming from ESPN's Phil Yates. This is a story written by Serena Burks of Titans Wire, courtesy of MSN.com. And as you guys can see here, hopefully now on the screen, this 2-round mock draft has the Titans selecting linebacker out of Ohio State, Sonny Styles, with the 4th overall pick. They are looking at what the Titans did in free agency, seeing that they brought in a lot of defensive help, and they want to continue to add that with Robert Saleh. He's been a very, very good linebacker whisperer in his career, and so I think that this is the process that he's thinking of for the Titans here. Get arguably the best player, certainly one of the most athletic players in the entire draft. Linebacker is not a premium position, but I'll kind of hold my overall takes for the end. But they're going with the Titans, or Sonny Styles at number 4 for the Titans. And then they follow that pick up with Keelan Rutledge, a guard out of Georgia Tech, with the 35th overall pick, the Titans' second round draft pick here. Again, he's a guard. He's a hard-nosed, really good in the run game. Georgia Tech is known for running the football, so you're going to get a guy who can be an instant starter at that right guard position. He's really rough-nosed, can get in the trenches, and I think can move some people. He's very, very strong. He's known for being relentless. So that's what Keelan Rutledge brings up. And so the whole reason why I'm bringing up this particular mock draft is because this is certainly a kind of a little bit against the grain of what we've seen. I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you looked up any type of Titans mock draft, you've seen the Titans either go with an edge rusher or Jeremiah Love as a running back, potentially even Carnell Tate at receiver. But this kind of went against the grain a little bit. And so if the Titans do go Sonny Styles, I will not be mad, but he is probably on the lower end of what I would like to see the Titans do at number 4. And just the reason being, yes, linebacker, like running back, is not a premium position, but I do question how much overall impact Sonny Styles is going to be for wins and losses. So, again, this team is young. Last year, obviously, was a disaster with the Callahans in power. But we need to start winning some games now. Last year, we just kind of get a feel for where Cam's at, where these rookies are at. J.C. Latham moved over to right tackle. Cedric Gray is actually kind of playing now. We wanted to get a longer look at Jarvis Brownlee Jr. We shipped him off. But now it's time to start winning some games. We got to win some games. Otherwise, Berganzi and Salah, they're going to be out of here faster than we can blink. So I question how much. I think Sonny Styles is going to be awesome. He could be a top 10, top 5 linebacker by the end of next season. I truly believe that, no matter what team he goes to. I just really, really question how much is it going to impact wins and losses for the Titans, given how many holes and lack of premier talent that this team has. And that's where I am very hesitant on Sonny Styles at number 4. I think the player is going to be awesome. I think Robert Saleh is going to love having him. But I am nervous to death to bring in an off-ball linebacker who's most likely going to be your Mike, next to Cedric Gray, who's already a really, really good linebacker in himself. I just really struggle to see the overall impact that he's going to have on the actual outcome of games. I think he's going to help the Titans defense be immaculate, but if we're not putting up points, how much is it really helping us out? So at least an edge rusher, you're directly, in more sense than a middle linebacker, you're affecting the opposing team's quarterback more. So I'm not saying it has to be offense, but we know that an edge rusher is a premier position. Any type of pass rush, you are directly affecting the other team's quarterback. And so at least if you're not putting points on the board if you're not going with an offensive player, an edge rusher is typically, or a cornerback, you are typically significantly hampering the opposing team's quarterback, stopping them from scoring points. The linebacker position, there's still a lot that has to go right for them to really, really impact the opposing team's quarterback, in my opinion. And so that is why I am less on picking up Sonny Styles at number 4. And then to follow that up with going to guard. Now, listen, the Titans need a starting right guard right now. I'm really crossing my fingers that they go get Kevin Zeitler. Bring him back for one more season. Let's draft somebody later on in the draft that can replace him. We may even have somebody already on the roster, but in case we don't feel like we have a future starting right guard, we can pick that up later on, give them basically a red shirt year to develop under Zeitler. But I would really like the Titans to bring back Kevin Zeitler, who was really good for us last year, the best pass blocking offensive lineman that the Tennessee Titans had by far. And so I really hope they bring him back just for one more season. He is, I believe, going to be 36 years old by the start of next season, so that is concerning. But he's better than what anything else that the Titans have available to them at this current moment in time. So I just think that that's a rough two draft picks to start for Mike Berganzi. If you're going to pick up a non-premium position in Sonny Styles when the Titans desperately need edge help. They still need a speed rusher, and as well as a pass catcher. Then you followed up with a right guard. So you're not addressing, in my personal opinion, I think the Titans' two biggest needs are edge rusher and wide receiver. And even though they brought in two different corners, I still think they need a third corner to really solidify that secondary. And so you could say right guard / center. They probably need a starter in the draft at one of those two positions. So if you want to go interior offensive line in your top three, I totally understand. I still think corner is still a big need because I know Alontae Taylor is really, really good in the slot. So I still would like to see the Titans address at least one of those three positions within their first two picks. And so that's where I'm a little nervous for them to go this route, to go off-ball linebacker, starting middle linebacker, and then go right guard. I just don't know exactly how much that's equating to the Titans improving their wins and losses. I think long-term, and again, I'm not saying we have to just go and get a bunch of guys who can just impact winning in year one and then forget about development, beyond. But I think these are guys that once the rest of the piece of the puzzle's put together, they make more sense for the Titans, if you guys are following me. But I think for right now, with the Titans, we need impact players right now, and we will get to that super development part. But we need impact players. We went with development last year. Cam Ward was a long-term solution. Femi Oladeja, our second-round pick last year, long-term investment. Kevin Winston Jr., long-term investment, come off an ACL tear. These were all guys we knew weren't going to, outside of Cam Ward, be extremely impactful to wins and losses. We kind of went that route. Chimdike, Gunnar Helm, Alec Eilmaner. Those are our first 5 picks from last year's draft. Those are guys who are all, we should start to see them become the best versions of themselves year 2, year 3. We need guys who are going to be hopefully up for rookie of the year type things for the Tennessee Titans this draft, especially within the first 2 to 3 picks of this year's draft. So that's more of where I'm kind of looking at. So that's the first one I wanted to look at for you guys. The next one is going to be a 3-round mock draft. Now again, this one is going to be made up of a bunch of different ESPN NFL insiders. So Mel Kiper Jr., Matt Miller, Jordan Reed, and Field Yates. They did a 3-round mock draft where each of them kind of do a round robin where they kind of pick who goes next in order, and they just did this for all the teams. So this story is written by Brandon Ray from Titansize.com. And so this 3-round mock draft, as you guys can see here, first starts off with the Titans taking a different approach. They're going with David Bailey, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. And so I think this is definitely a much more, one, a realistic, and two, I think David Bailey is the #1 player on the Titans draft board. I'm not saying he's #1 on my board. I would take Jeremiah Love, but I think David Bailey is who Mike Bergonzi, if they put a gun to his head right now, he would tell you that David Bailey is who he would prefer for the Tennessee Titans to draft. And I totally understand it. He's a very good speed pass rusher. That's something the Titans desperately need. Jermaine Johnson, Femi Oladejo are big power guys who can kind of set the edge, be a good run stopper, and can kind of give you some power. But we need some speed on the edge, and David Bailey is exactly that. There's some big questions around. Does he have the appropriate bend? Does he have the right moves that can translate into the NFL? We'll see. I have my personal doubts, and I'll get into more of that later on in the show. But David Bailey, this is certainly a more conventional way I think the Titans should go about building out their draft in this year's draft, and David Bailey is certainly the right step in the direction of that. In round 2, Jordan Reed picked up Denzel Boston, the wide receiver out of Washington. Big-bodied receiver. The Titans, I was on the table pounding for Wan'Dale Robinson. I got my wish. We needed a really good slot receiver. Some people were complaining about Chimdike. Chimdike, I think, is going to be the long-term Z, guys. I think he's going to eventually take over Calvin Ridley's spot. I think that's what they're going to train him up to do. He's going to be the new Calvin Ridley in waiting if he emerges to be a more consistent starting wide receiver in the NFL. But the Titans are desperately needing an X wide receiver. and that is exactly what Denzel Boston is. Huge receiver. He can go and make the big time catches. There is still something to be desired from what I've kind of watched and read up on him. He's still not the greatest in contested catches situations, but he's huge. He can put his arms. He has good arm length. He can go up there and go get the ball more times than not. So he's your boundary guy. He's the one you want, and we should be wanting a guy like this to push Alec Eilmaner. I know a lot of Titans fans really like Alec, and I do too. I don't have any necessarily a problem with him, but he was not only was he a fourth round wide receiver, but he was the fourth round pick that the Titans made last year. Don't forget, the Titans chose Chim DK over him, so they were okay with passing on him. Then they took Gunnar Helm, and then they traded up back into the fourth round with the Ravens, and then picked up Alec Eilmaner at the bottom of the fourth round. So there's two separate times that the Titans were more than willing to pass up on him because he has drop issues. He has major drop issues. That was something we saw with him at Stanford back when he was in college, and he dropped the ball a lot last year, and he's not getting the appropriate separation that the Titans need out of a number one wide receiver. I think Denzel Boston can be that guy. There's only a handful few receivers, in my opinion, in this draft that can be real number one wide receivers, and Denzel Boston is one of them. I think that if they can get the more consistency out of him in jump ball contested situations, as well as being able to prove that he can be on that island. Hey, it's you one-on-one with the corner. Safety helps to the other side. We need you to beat their number one corner. In our division, we have Sauce Gardner. We need you to go and beat him. Take him over. We have Derek Stingley Jr. He's lining up one-on-one with you. We need you to go and beat him one-on-one. That's what we need, a receiver that we can trust to do that. Calvin Ridley's kind of been that guy, but especially come off the injury, and he's more, again, the move receiver. We send Calvin Ridley in motion. He's doing a lot of crossing routes, a lot of speed. He will take you deep as well, but he's doing a lot of stuff to kind of move all over the formation. Denzel Boston's not going to be that. He's that guy, one-on-one. I'm snapping the ball. I'm just chucking it up, one-on-one. That's what we need. Alec Eilmaner hasn't shown that consistency yet, and I think Denzel Boston is the guy that can really help the Titans. He's one of the guys, I should say. Not the only one, but he's certainly one of the guys. So I really love that pick. And then Matt Miller in the third round has the Titans taking Jennings Dunker out of Iowa, offensive line. He's a tackle. He might be a guy who can pretty much, most likely, going to move in the guard. Again, another guy who can be, as you can see here, he's a plug and play. It says upgrade at the right guard position. I don't think he's going to be better than Kevin Zeitler, especially not in year one. But I certainly think that he's a guy who can be impactful day one from everything I've read about him so far. He's going to kick in just like Peter Skoronski did and can be a day one starter for the Titans. And so, and I don't hate that. You know, the Titans are going to be still fairly young on the offensive line. And so I think that we kind of have it staggered. You know, you'll have a 4-year player in Skoronski, a 3-year player in, oh my goodness, why is his name, our right tackle, J.C. Latham, sorry. Latham will be in his 3rd year. Then you could have a rookie right next to him. At that point, I would definitely want to go get a veteran center just so we can have a little bit more presence. We can't just have Dan Moore be the only, like, main veteran, you know what I mean? I know Skoronski's a veteran too, but you guys get what I'm saying. Dan Moore's on his 2nd contract. We can't have all these guys on their rookie contracts. But I wouldn't mind that. This to me is a much better way of addressing what in a lot of people's eyes are the top 3 main needs that the Titans have. We need an edge rusher, a speed rusher specifically, a big-bodied wide receiver, and we need interior offensive line help, whether it's at the center position or the guard position. We need one. We need to get one probably in the first 3 rounds, just like this. So this is more of a route that I am more comfortable with the Titans taking. Again, you guys know who I want to pick at number 4, which does shake this up just a tad bit. But I think this is the appropriate route that the Titans can and potentially should go, especially if they think that Jeremiah Love is not the guy that they want to see at number 4. then this is certainly the more of the route that I would want the Titans to take. So I am totally happy with this. I think if the Titans went out and did this exact thing, I don't think this is too far-fetched. I think they can certainly get Denzel Boston at 35. David Bailey still being there at 4. I don't know, but maybe. And honestly, switch out David Bailey with Arvell Reese. I feel the exact same way. Speed rusher, you're going to have to develop him a little bit, but ultimately he's your guy. You're swinging for the fences, can be, maybe not a gold jacket, but a ring of honor type guy. And so that brings me to my third and final mock draft I want to look at least for now. I say for now because I do have a bonus one for you guys. I have a 7-round mock draft I want to look at with you guys. Here you go. You guys should be able to see this here. This 7-round mock draft, again, comes from ESPN's Matt Miller. This story is by Mark Mahalko of Titans Wire. Again, this is courtesy of a story done on TitansWire.usatoday.com. And I'll briefly kind of go through this one. Now, this has more of the route that I want the Tennessee Titans to take. He has Jeremiah Love going to the Tennessee Titans at number 4. I think this is my number 1 player in the entire draft. If you're telling me the Titans can sit pat at number 4 and get the best player in the NFL draft, I don't know how you could complain. I don't care what position they play. In my opinion, Jeremiah Love is the number 1 player in this draft. And similarly, why I can't get mad about Sonny Styles. If the Titans truly think that Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs or whoever is the number 1 player in the draft, and then I can't be mad that they took him at number 4. I think Jeremiah Love, in my opinion, is the best player, and I'm willing to break my, overall philosophy of how I technically want the Titans to fill out their team via the draft. Again, in a perfect world, say Jeremiah Love didn't exist. I want the Titans to go edge rusher, receiver, offensive line, interior offensive line / corner. Just like the last mock draft, played out for us. Jeremiah Love is that good to me. I think he is worth breaking draft philosophy for because I think he's a day 1 game changer and somebody we need desperately. Someone who can help Cam Ward if you're not going to have as good of a starter at center or right guard or both, then he's a guy who at least can make up for some of those deficiencies while you start to build out your offensive line over time. And Jeremiah Love, dude, he's just one handoff away from breaking through. This Titans offense was so bad last year. We need playmakers. Cam Ward, you as Titans fans deserve playmakers, and he is that. He is worthy of breaking this. And honestly, the Titans probably can get another player. If they draft Jeremiah Love, you low-key probably could trade Tony Pollard on day 2 or day 3 of the draft. Probably day 3. And just pick up another random, 5th, 6th round pick for him. So you may be able to get some draft capital for Tony Pollard anyway. So we can get Jeremiah Love and then pick up another guy who you guys like to, put in your mock drafts. So I just think he's worth it. I totally think that he's just worth the guy. He's worth breaking your draft philosophy for. He's the number 1 player in the draft to me. And I think he's offensive rookie of the year already. He hasn't even been drafted by the Titans yet. And again, I'll quickly kind of go through these. In the 2nd round, they have the Titans going with a guard, Chase Basantis. Again, I'm going to try to make sure I'm pronouncing these guys' names right. But Chase Basantis, offensive guard out of Texas A&M. Again, another immediate starter on the interior. He's going to be able to take over for Kevin Zeitler if the Tennessee Titans choose not to bring him back. Just like the last Ginnings out of Iowa. I think that he can plug right in. Again, you probably need a veteran center to kind of go along with all these younger guys. But you can kind of start to see this offensive line will gel really, really well for years to come. If Latham starts to settle in at right tackle, we know how good Skoronski is. Dan Moore can just not be a disaster, which I don't think he was a disaster last year. If he can just not be a disaster, we'll go through some rookie pains at right guard, get a veteran center who may just be a borderline fringe, starting center, and then we're cooking, man. By 2027, 2028, our offensive line will be fully developed by then, I would think, and we're cooking, especially if Cam Ward continues to develop. So In the third round, they have the Tennessee Titans going with Chris Bell, right receiver out of Louisville. Again, this to me is last year's version of Kevin Winston Jr. I think if Chris Bell did not tear his ACL, I think that he would have been at the tail end of the first round. Just like Kevin Winston Jr. would have been a first round pick, if not for his ACL, he fell to the third round. I feel the exact same way about Chris Bell. Again, the Titans, now that they've picked up Wan'Dale Robinson, I think they can be in a position to be a little bit more riskier at wide receiver. I just want them to take a wide receiver. What my worry is that they wait too long to take a receiver until there's no guys who have the ability to probably start right away. Chris Bell is still a big-bodied receiver who's big on physicality, who again can be that X wide receiver who can line up on an island and just go across the number one cornerback from the opposing team. He's 6'2", 222 pounds. He's another AJ Brown. He's another AJ Brown type receiver. If he is fully healthy from this ACL tear, we may have gotten another steal in this draft. This would be a Kevin Winston Jr. situation all over again. So keep your eyes out for Chris Bell. I'm all for him. I think that teams are going to take him a little bit higher than this third round than pick 66. But if he falls and the Titans get him, masterclass. A masterclass of a pick. And then just to round out the rest, I'll just kind of speed through these. Round 4, they have the Titans taking safety Kamari Ramsey out of USC. Again, this is a guy, not a guy, but a position where I think is a sneaky pick for the Titans. I don't know how much you guys were watching. Amani Hooker was terrible last year. He was just downright awful. So I would not be surprised if he's cut after the season next year, like in the early part of the offseason, or maybe they even choose to do a post-June 1st cut on Amani Hooker. So the Titans are going to need another starting safety here real soon. So getting Ramsey, I actually really like that, especially given what the Titans have already done earlier in the draft, getting, to me, the best player in the draft, getting the Kevin Winston Jr. of last year, of this year's draft, and Chris Bell. Again, going this strategy, and I'll read the rest out. They have the Titans taking an off-ball linebacker in the 5th round with their first 5th round pick. Then they have the Titans taking a tight end. Then they go corner. Also, I think Davis will go before the 6th round pick, in my personal opinion. Then they go offensive tackle in the 6th, and then they round it out with a defensive nose stuffing, kind of run stuffing tackle in the 7th round. So as you can see, they completely forego the edge position in this mock draft, and I know that would have some people seething, and I totally get it. But in my opinion here, I really like this draft. If this is how the Titans draft played out, I would most certainly give this an A. I think some of these players won't be there. Again, Takario Davis, I don't think will be there in the 6th round. I think he's more of a bottom of the 4th, early 5th round pick. But if he's there in the 6th round and the Titans get him, oh, I'm loving it. I am absolutely loving it. If they can get Kamari Ramsey in the 4th round, Chris Bell in the 3rd, while addressing offensive line earlier in the draft as well, this is an A draft for me. This is an absolutely A draft. It's not an A plus, but it's an A. They're getting guys who I think are gems who are falling to them. Again, I don't think that they're necessarily they're getting guys who are not. The pick is not representing how good they are. I think there's not 65 guys better than Chris Bell. There's not 3 players better. There's no one better than Jeremiah Love in this draft, in my personal opinion. So if the Titans are getting guys like that, I don't think there's 100 players better than Kamari Ramsey. Or just if they get a safety of that caliber in the 4th round, we're cooking. We are absolutely cooking. And the reason why I'm perfectly fine with the Titans foregoing edge rusher if they take this route is because in my personal opinion, and there's some stats to back it up, but I'm not going to read off a bunch of numbers for this. Typically, now of course, you have the Max Crosbys of the world. There are always outliers to everything. But traditionally, if you don't get an edge rusher within the first 10 to 15 picks, and usually is more closer to the top 8 to 10 picks, they're not going to be a Hall of Famer. And again, you can't, every draft pick's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but to me, if you're gonna not get the best of the best, if you're gonna forego edge rusher, which I want the Titans to do, because I want them to get Jeremiah Love, then picking up an edge rusher, especially a speed rusher, to go round 2 through 5 or rounds 2 through 6, there's a reason why, they're not going first round. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see how impactful a 3rd to 7th round edge rusher is really going to do, how much help is going to help the Titans, basically. You can find receivers. We see receivers all over the place. Puka Nacua, I believe, was a 5th or 6th round pick. Antonio Brown was a 5th round pick. You can get guys that come out of nowhere. There's a number of different undrafted guys that go on to make impacts. Maybe the best receiver in Titans history was A.J. Brown, and he went 2nd round. You can get guys from all over. Same with the running back. You can get guys all up and down the draft at running back, at tight end, at receiver, even corner. You can find pretty solid starting corners all over the place. L'Jarius Sneed, he was bad for the Titans, but the whole reason why we were paying L'Jarius Sneed is because he was a 4th round pick that the Chiefs found. You can find, Jarvis Brownlee was a 5th round pick, and he was starting for us last year. You can find really, really good corners in all these other positions, but edge rusher to be at the top of their game, very, very unlikely. And so to me, I would much rather get guys impactful. You get Chris Bell, potentially, if he's healthy, he's a 1st round talent. Jeremiah Love, best player in the draft. Starting right guard immediately that you found in the 2nd round. Your long-term starting safety in the 4th round. And then you use next year, because I think we all can agree the Titans are not winning the Super Bowl, so they're gonna still have a decent pick. You go and get your edge rusher next year. Go get your speed guy. You just fill out your roster. You went and got Jermaine Johnson. You got a couple more edge. You just kind of put it you fill in the blank with free agency and undrafted free agency for edge rusher just this year. You got John Franklin. Majority of our pressure should be coming from the middle anyway, with Jeffrey Simmons and John Franklin Myers. You have Jermaine Johnson now. We're going to take a punt on speed rusher for just this 1 year. It can't be too much worse than what we had last year. Arden Key wasn't doing anything. Femi got hurt. So if Femi brings you anything this year, it's more than what he did last year. So it's not like we're downgrading. You see what I'm saying? We're not downgrading at edge rusher by any means by not taking an edge rusher, because we didn't lose anyone worth that much of an impact. So I just think that the Titans can more afford to punt on edge rusher, especially a speed rusher, and go get guys that impact you, especially offensively right now. And you can find starters later in the draft in other positions that you can't do. Typically, you can't find all-time great players or franchise-changing players at positions like quarterback and edge rusher and offensive tackle. Those 3 typically you cannot find. You don't see too many. Again, you have even Trey Smith. He's a guard for the Chiefs, but even then, you rarely see the Jordan Fuaga, if I'm saying his name, but the guy for the Eagles, Jordan Mailata, Jordan Mailata, who's a gigantic rugby player. He was either undrafted or went 7th round. He's such a rarity. If you're gonna take a true starting bona fide, don't put on the gold jacket or be a ring of honor, a Pro Bowler, all pro guy, they're typically drafted in the first 2 rounds for offensive tackle, edge rusher, and quarterback. So if you're the Titans, if you're not going to get the bona fide awesome edge rusher, then what's the point? You're just adding a guy to give you 3 to 5 sacks a season and be like, get all the fan base. Maybe he can turn into a starter. Just why? Go get starters elsewhere, and that's what you use your 1st round pick for next year. There's a lot of guys with short arms in this draft too, for whatever reason. So hopefully next year's edge class, I haven't deep dived into the 2027 class at all, but hopefully next year's draft class gives us a lot more edge rushers with some longer arms. We know that's what Mike Bergonzi and Robert Saleh really like. And so if we go that route, That way, then think about it. If Jermaine Johnson's good, John Franklin Myers and Simmons aren't going anywhere. We'll have those three. Femi's not going anywhere. You add a first-round edge rusher next year. We already have our starting running back. We have our starting right guard. We have our X receiver if Chris Bell works out. You have your safety of the future. And that's just from the first 4 picks of this year. We have Wan'Dale Robinson. Hopefully Chim DK can you know what I mean? You can start to see how you can build this roster out. So I think the edge is actually the one position we can actually kind of kick it down the road and it not be a disaster. You know, again, the Titans are not winning the Super Bowl this year. I think we're going to be much more improved. And once I see the schedule, I'll start to give out my predictions of how many games I think they can actually win. But this team is still not, we're not a David Bailey, an Arvell Reese, a Ruben Bain away from winning the Super Bowl or any of the second round edge rushers or whatever. So I think that they can actually be okay. Now, if they just want to have depth, if they go an edge rusher in the 5th round, I don't want you guys to think that it's a waste of a pick, because you still need solid depth guys who can be in the rotation, but they're probably not going to be a starter. So if they take anyone past round 3, they probably will never be a bona fide starter for the Titans. That's just the odds tell you that. So that's why I'm more in favor of actually foregoing edge rusher completely if the Titans, especially if the Titans go with Jeremiah Love at 4. Now, if they went with Sonny Styles or you know, I guess Carnell Tate, then it's like, all right, you know, we probably should look more to edge rusher, because that's our last chance to get a guy who probably can start. Otherwise, once you get past 35, the closer you get to 66, there's no more starters. No more impactful starters that the Titans can really get. So at that point, it's like, why even try to force your way or talk your way into a guy, in my personal opinion. So that'll kind of do it for these mock drafts. Again, I hope this is kind of making sense. You guys can kind of piece together my philosophy. Again, we don't have to agree. That's one thing that I've noticed from a lot of Titans Twitter that really inspired me to do this. There's so much that people, you know, a lot of Titans content creators, if you disagree with them, they like insult your intelligence. They act like you're a stupid person. And that's not what I want to do at all. We can disagree. I may think your point is stupid. Like I've just been seeing a lot of Titans fans mock drafting tight ends in like the 2nd and 3rd round. I think that's dumb. I'll just tell you guys right now, I think that's dumb. The Titans are not drafting a tight end with their first 3 picks. And if they do, I will be on here. A, I'll tell you I'm wrong. And 2, I'll be on here rioting, because I think that's dumb. So anybody who thinks the Titans are taking Eli Stowers or anybody else in the first 3 picks is out of their freaking mind. I'll tell you when I think an opinion is dumb, but I'm not going to insult you as a person. So we can disagree. Honestly, I want you to tell me if we disagree so that I can hear your side of it. We can try to find some middle ground. But there's too much on Twitter that if you don't agree with their point wholeheartedly, then they're calling you an idiot. And I don't agree with that. So anyways, I'm going to transition to the second part. And again, this is going to be real brief because, again, nothing super, there's nothing crazy that's coming out of this. But the Tennessee Titans did add a few players onto their roster. Mainly they added Hendon Hooker, Vol the legend, Tennessee Volunteer legend, Hendon Hooker. He bounced around. I mean, he was with the Lions for a little bit. I think he bounced around maybe a year on some practice squads, and now the Titans bring him in. Honestly, I don't hate it. He's an athletic guy. Hometown hero. It'll make the Vols fans happy. We're Gators in this house. My dad played ball at Florida, so we're Gators. So I don't like the Volunteers. So sorry, my Tennessee Vols fans, but we have the Titans together, so we have some common ground. So I don't like any Volunteers, but Hendon Hooker, I still think it's ridiculous. Anyone thought that he was better than Will Levis? As much as I cannot stand Will Levis is exceedingly a better NFL quarterback than Hendon Hooker ever has or will be. But that's kind of funny. He's a good receiver 3, quarterback 3. You have him be the backup, your main practice squad guy. Maybe you call him up to be the emergency quarterback from time to time. But yeah, I think with Mitchell Trubisky backing up Cam Moore. I think that's perfect, and then having Hendon Hooker in there. No problems with that. The Titans also did sign running back Michael Carter. I believe most recently he was with the Arizona Cardinals. Again, a guy who's kind of bounced around just a little bit. But again, he's another guy who's got starting NFL experience. He started games before. And right now the Titans are in a weird spot because before they go into this draft, they have obviously have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. And then they've done this thing with now his name is eluding me, but the third running back who's kind of just been around, he doesn't do a whole lot. They drafted Kyle Mullins, who was beat up, got hurt right before the season, and then he came back toward the end of the year. But I don't think Kyle Mullins is going to be anything to really write home about. Sorry, I'm going to look his name up because that's going to bother me. Julius Chestnut, excuse me. Julius Chestnut, I as a third running back, he's not doing anything for us. So why not bring in another guy, and Michael Carter, who at least has started before. A different NFL team has trusted him, to play. So that's ultimately where I'm kind of land on that. And then lastly, the Titans brought in KJ Osborne, I believe most recently with the Minnesota Vikings, a pure slot receiver. Again, I think that's good. Just to add in, to bring some competition, we need a backup, for Wan'Dale Robinson. I think Chimdike can play that role, but really all the Titans have as a backup slot receiver right now is Mason Kinsey, Xavier Restrepo, and now KJ Osborne. Bryce Oliver seems to kind of be more of the Z wide receiver. He's kind of more of the Calvin Ridley, Chimray DK role. And so I think that this brings some competition there. I loved seeing Restrepo get out there. I would love to see him continue to get some snaps out there, but at least, competition is always good. And you never know who you can kind of get in the draft. So if we get a slot receiver who kind of falls to us later on in the draft, you can always cut KJ Osborne and move on. So those are just the three guys that the Titans have brought in. Oh, they also did bring in Lance McCutcheon as well. He was with the Titans last year at one point. I believe he got signed to the Bucks, cut, and now he's back with the Titans again. So another wide receiver. He's more of a big body guy. I think he probably can play that X role a little bit. I'll have to deep dive a little bit into more of his role, but from what my understanding is he plays a little bit of the X role. And so again, just another guy who can, because right now the X receivers on the Titans roster are Alec Eilmaner and Bryce Oliver. That's about it. And so, so Lance McCutcheon, at least a guy familiar with the team, familiar with the organization, you're going to bring him in. So that's it. Said not a whole lot there, but at least to keep you guys updated. The Titans brought in a running back, quarterback, 2 wide receivers to kind of fill out the roster going into this year's NFL draft. Lastly, and I'll try to keep this brief because I've talked about it already, Jeremiah Love should be the pick. And I'm going to show you exactly my biggest fear. The reason why I'm so passionate about getting Jeremiah Love at number 4 is how this mock draft played out. And this is my biggest fear. This 7-round mock draft was done by CBS. Again, this story courtesy of Serena Burks from Titans Wire. And this story is courtesy of, this was done by Josh Edwards of CBS and websites TitansWire.usatoday.com. So, in this 7-round mock draft, the Tennessee Titans go with David Bailey at number 4. Again, will not be mad at that. Not going to be mad at that. You go David Bailey, edge rusher, Titans need it. We desperately need it. As you guys can see on the screen, this is where I get nervous. So the Titans, again, go Chase Basantis, interior offensive line, immediate starting right guard. Then they go cornerback. I don't have any knowledge of. I'm be completely honest with you. I'll tighten that up in a little bit. I have no knowledge of this guy. Maybe he's a really good player. I have no idea. Say he's a really good cornerback. I told you guys, corner is something I want to go with. So he may be good. Then we go Mike Washington Jr. at running back. Harold Perkins, a guy I'm a big fan of. I think he has tons of upside, and I think Robert Saleh would have a ball with Harold Perkins. He can do so much. He can blitz. Former 5-star recruit at LSU. He has a lot of injury history. but can play all over. Then they get another interior offensive lineman. They go tight end in the 6th. I actually really like this edge rusher, Max Llewellyn, out of Iowa, in round 6. I actually really, really like him. I think he'll be a good player. And then they go with a safety, Deshaun Singleton, who I don't think makes it to round 7. I think he's good enough to go before the 7th round. But this is where Jeremiah Love has to be the pick. The reason he has to be the pick is because as you start to look at this, the Tennessee Titans, through the first, through round 5, get one starter on offense. One starter. They get a starting right guard. Mike Washington, I think, can be a really good running back. He's not starting day 1. I don't think that Mike Washington Jr. is good enough to get rid of Tony Pollard. So he'll probably be in a 3 running back rotation. But you're not turning over the keys to Mike Washington and just have Tajay Spears. Or you're not getting rid of Spears and keeping Tony Pollard last year of his deal and then just have Mike Washington. This is not good. And at the end it says, overall, this isn't terrible. To me, this is a disaster. This is a disaster. How do you go and look your second round quarterback in the face and tell him, hey, we got you a starting second round guard, unproven. We get you probably a second string running back at least for next year with our 4th round pick. We get you some depth on the offensive line in round 5. We get you a 3rd string tight end in round 6. How do we go? And then we have a project. And then if you want to pitch it of, hey, we're going to really solidify this defense, there are still major questions about David Bailey, even if the Titans go that route, and I will be fine with it if they do. But there's still some major questions about him if he can translate it over to the NFL. So if David Bailey doesn't work out right away, like I said, I still need to do some homework on this Traden Stukes pick at cornerback. Hell Perkins is a project. He's not going to be an all-star in year 1. I like Max Llewellyn, but again, he's a 6th round pick for a reason. And I do like Deshaun Singleton, but again, he's your 3rd or 4th safety. How is this? I don't see how this way of drafting is going to impact wins next year specifically. Again, you do have to prep for the future. Harold Perkins is a long-term investment. Max Llewellyn, long-term investment. Singleton, potential starter down the road. I think he's good. I like Deshaun Singleton. Mike Washington could be your starting running back after next year. But if Chase, this draft class is really dependent on Basantis being awesome and David Bailey killing it out the gate. If those guys don't do that, Stukes is probably can play. He'll probably play day 1. So there's a starter. But you get 2, I'd say 2.5 starters, because it's not a foregone conclusion that Stukes starts right away. Obviously, David Bailey will. I think you get 2.5 starters out of this year 1. And by year 2, when all these guys are in their sophomore season, I think you have 3.5 starters. I think Mike Washington's a starter. I'll even up it to 4. I think your first 4 picks are starters by this time next year. And maybe you get Harold Perkins there. At the highest 4.5, I see 3.5 to 4 starters. And again, that's about what you get out of a lot of draft classes. But they're not helping out your quarterback. From a weapon standpoint, at least. Yes, you're getting a right guard, but you're also banking on Mike Washington just taking over the reins for Tony Pollard, who's at 1,000 yards the last 2 years. And I get it. Tony Pollard's 1,000 yards is a little bit deceitful. Again, nothing against him, but he clearly took a step back last year, even though he still got 1,000 yards. But after that, man, like, I don't know. This scares me. I like this. If David Bailey's not awesome out the gate, you get a starting right guard, a corner who's gonna play, but I mean, we just paid big money to 2 different corners for a reason, so they're gonna be out there a lot. Mike Washington's splitting time, and then he's a 4th-round running back. Even if he is a starter next year, he's not gonna be. I doubt he's gonna be some top 10 starter, top 12 starter right away. Harold Perkins is a project, and then the rest of these guys are dart throws. This type of drafting scares me. And this is why I think the Titans have got to go with Jeremiah Love at number 4. You are getting a bona fide, awesome player. Injury withstanding, I just do not see how Jeremiah Love doesn't work out. He would have to just turn into Trent Richardson. Like, I'm knocking on wood. I don't want that for him. But he would just have to turn into Trent Richardson. Just a guy who just turns out to be lazy and just deceived us all. I just do not foresee on the field Jeremiah Love. He have to do something off the field or just be insanely injured to not be an awesome player, no matter who he gets drafted by. And then you don't draft a receiver at all. I told you guys, the Titans still, in my opinion, don't have a starting X receiver. Alec Eilmaner is a backup right now. Chim DK plays the Z / slot. And we have Calvin Ridley and Wan'Dale Robinson. So Chim DK is still fighting for some time, fighting for those spots to even get some time to play. This is scary. The Titans would have to go, and I do not want this guy on my team at all. But if the Titans came away with this draft, the Titans have to go after a Stephon Diggs, a somebody of that, a Jawan Jennings. They're going to have to go do that. I want no part of Stephon Diggs. But the Titans, I couldn't even be mad if the Titans went and got Stephon Diggs after this. Because you can't go into next season with, hey, we kept our entire receiving core the same, except for we gave you Wan'Dale Robinson. And I like Wan'Dale Robinson. But come on, man. He's not a top 15 receiver in the league. We cannot look Cam Ward in the face and tell him this is what we've done. And I was fine letting Gunnar Helm be the starter, so I was fine with Chig Okonkwo leaving. But that was the Titans' #1 receiver last year, the #1 pass catcher. So you look Cam Ward in his face and tell him, we're getting rid of your #1 pass catcher from last season in Chig Okonkwo. All we do is bring in Daniel Bellinger, who's more of a blocker than a receiver. We upgrade Gunnar Helm to be a starter. Okay, fine. We give you Wan'Dale Robinson, who's an upgrade in the slot. We keep everything else the same at wide receiver. And we give you a 2nd-round rookie to be your starting right guard after Kevin Zeitler was your best right guard last year. We get rid of, what was your best pass blocking offensive lineman. Now, Peter Skoronski is the best overall lineman on the team, no questions asked. But Kevin Zeitler was the best pass blocker out of everyone last year. We get rid of your best pass blocker, your #1 catching option, and all we do is upgrade your slot position. How is that setting Cam Ward up to succeed? This type of draft sets up the Titans to be the 2022 New York Jets. Even if David Bailey's awesome, you're going to have a top 5 defense and a bottom 5 offense, and we will win no more than 6 to 7 games. We will win no more than 6 to 7 games. We will be the 2022 New York Jets. Now, we have a better quarterback, so now Cam can prove me wrong with that, but this type of draft makes Cam have to be a hero. He has to be Superman every game. If he doesn't put on that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson cape, we are screwed. And I think Cam has the ability to do that. But what happens next year if Cam is awesome and Brian Daboll gets a head coaching job? Now Cam's on his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. And we have yet to give him any real outside receiver help. We cannot do this. We can't do it. In my opinion, we cannot do this. This draft cannot happen. If we go David Bailey, we better be looking at receiver at 35. And I'm going to get into this a little later in another round, but this is why pick 35 is super important, because it might be a prime trade down position where the Titans have to gain some extra picks. The Titans might need to trade back from 35 to around that 48 to 53, 55 window, pick up a pick in the 80s, pick at pick 50, 66 in the 80s, and at 101. So essentially you give yourself 5 top 101 picks. And I'm going to dive deep more into that in another episode, but this is why. This is why. If you go David Bailey at 4 and go interior offensive line or corner or whatever, a non-receiver, a non-pass catcher, non-offensive weapon in round 2, you are putting the Titans in a dangerous situation. Now, if it plays out like that 3 round, like the last mock draft we looked at where we got Chris Bell, then all is kind of starting to get forgiven. But this is scary. To me, this is red flags all over the place. Red flags. All over. And I'm sorry, actually, in the last one we looked at, Jeremiah Love went 4. So that was Jeremiah Love. We went with the guard and then Chris Bell. We didn't even go David Bailey in that one. Because the Titans need offensive help. This is red flags all over to me. And so Jeremiah Love has to be the pick, because at the very least, you can decide however the board falls from that point on. Now you can decide, is there starter ability from the edge rusher position at 35? If not, look at receivers. Is there a receiver that you think is worthy of that 35th overall pick? If you're still worried about Chris Bell or Chris Brazzell or whoever, trade back, pick up one of those guys, then go get a 3rd round edge rusher, just to add some type of depth, but you already know in your head, hey, we probably still need a starter next year in the 1st round. But to go this route, no receiver at all, I cannot agree to this. I think this would be a disaster. Even though I like some players in this draft, Harold Perkins being one of them, I even like David Bailey. This is scary. So I will end you guys with that. Please, again, like and subscribe. I want to help grow this show out. Please also let me know if you guys like the length of these videos. I try to keep it under an hour for sure. I know some places do 30 minutes, some places do an hour and 10. So I'm trying to find that happy medium. So you guys tell me what you guys like or not. I like it to be a little bit longer for my people who have a commute. You can always pause it and pick it up later and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to give you guys enough content to make it through to get you to work. Hopefully to and from safely. So that'll do it for today's edition of the Titans Traffic Update. Again, I'm your host, Gannon Quinley. Please like and subscribe. Send this out. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Hope you guys have a blessed week. And as always, tighten up.